and welcome to Spirits, Mediums, and Things That Go Bump in the Night. And I'm Gloria Warner Riziakis, and this is my co-host, Toni
Hello.
Sipka
Hello.
of Toni Time as well.
Yes.
Is there any other show? Oh, yes. We need to tell the audience what you've been doing, keeping yourself out of trouble.
Oh, you mean about my classes?
Yes.
It's been great. All of you probably have seen in the Journal newspaper, the Courier, I put some notices up that it's called Spider Woman Lessons. I'm teaching an on-camera class to people of all ages. And we started our first class last Saturday, and we have a wonderful group of people in there. And they're all we range from 13 years old up to 87 years old.
How neat is that?
I know.
Does everybody participate?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, it's been great. It's been great. So we have our second class coming up this Saturday.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it's been really fun and good. And
Now, can someone who just finds out about the class come?
sure.
Yeah.
Sure, I can bring them up to speed, or I'll take another weekend and focus on them.
That's really pretty good.
Because I have a feeling this class, I have it 3 Saturdays in a row, but they're so good in this group that we'll probably go 4 Saturdays. But I'm excited about them.
This is excellent. This is excellent.
Love
When I
it.
heard about it, I thought, what better person to teach the class than somebody that's been in front of and in back of the camera for, 25 years when
Yeah.
you had your modeling agency?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
pretty, in Manhattan, of all things.
I know. If you can't make it there,
Can't make it anywhere.
it's what they say.
And speaking of New York,
Yes.
okay, were you there when the towers went down
Yeah.
and things like that?
I was that was my view. The World Trade was my view from my apartment in the West Village.
Oh my.
So in the West Village, I was on Bethune Street. And it was like 5 to 9, and I was drinking my coffee, looking out the window, getting ready to leave, and I saw the first plane hit. But I thought it was a movie. I thought they were filming a movie. I didn't realize this was the real deal.
No kidding.
And then, of course, after a few minutes and what was happening. Yeah, I saw it happen.
Wow.
And I just went back to World Trade in November with a couple friends who had never been to New York before. And we went over there, and it was really funny. They have the World Trade up, the new one.
Mm-hmm.
They did a wonderful job. They did a wonderful job on the monument and all of that. But boy, I walked up there, and I just kind of went very stoic. And I'm watching people around, very emotional. And I don't know if it's because I lived through it for all the days after and the weeks and the months and everything, that I just stood there and just kind of looked.
Did you feel like anything, when I'm asking you that question, the feel anything, did you feel spirit? Or I've heard people tell me that when they've gone there, they have this sense of, big.
No, I didn't when I was there.
No?
No, I felt it more so after World Trade went down and then the other building went down. And because I lived so close, they sectioned off the West Village. And we had to show a driver's license to get in and get out. And I had just gotten 2 little dogs, 2 puppies. And when I would take them out for a walk, it was so stone silent in the village during that time, which is unlike New York. You could feel, then I felt the energy. Then it was when my puppies were, like maybe 15 weeks old or whatever, and we're taking a walk around the block, and there's no sound in New York. The dogs were acting very odd, very skittish. But because of the World Trade going down and people jumping out and the blowing up, body parts were blown all over. And they were blown into the village. And that's what the dogs, not only my dogs, but other
I
dogs.
mean, you saw this?
Yeah.
I mean, you saw some?
I saw a finger or two. Yeah. Because the dogs were sniffing around the building and on the street, and it's cobblestone. And yeah, it was kind of
Wow, we
surreal.
never hear that part.
No, you don't, because when you live in the middle of it, and of course, you're in shock, and just walking down the street with them and other people with their dogs. And we would get together on the sidewalk and we would talk about how odd our dogs are acting. And then one person would tell me, well, I saw this on the road, or I saw this on the parking lot. And I went to the vet with the dogs thinking there was something wrong with them. And, the vet even said, no, you're not the first one to come in here like this.
Wow.
We've had other people come in and the dogs are kind of traumatized.
Well, dogs and cats really sense other things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they were young, but no, it was more watching the city change. I mean, after everything happened, and if anybody knows anything about New York, everybody lives in a neighborhood. I'm in the West Village. So that little part of New York on the island, all the cafes opened up for free. All the restaurants were for free. Most
You mean
people,
the food in there were for free?
Yeah.
You mean they were giving out food for free?
yeah. And people, there's a lot of people who live in Manhattan who are single, divorced, elderly people, and nobody wanted to be alone. So everybody came out of their buildings and they wanted to be with other people. So the cafes and the restaurants.
You never hear that about New Yorkers. You always hear that everybody's an island unto themselves. But here you're saying that people were drawn to other people.
People came out of their apartment buildings to sit with other people, strangers. And there was a lot of that happening, a lot of goodwill with that in the restaurants. Because you live on an island, the only way to get in there is either through a bridge or a tunnel. And because of getting in through a bridge or a tunnel, food trucks couldn't get in. So all the grocery stores, any food they had after this happened, people had run in and got food. So we didn't know when we were going to have our next delivery. But we did. It was after a couple weeks. We did get
A couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, but nobody starved. The restaurants were very helpful. But yeah, people tend to think of New York people as being rude and cold and whatever. Truthfully, if you're rude and cold, they're going to be rude and cold. By nature, they're not. If they see a stranger standing with a map in their hand, they're going to walk up and say, "Can I help you?"
Wow.
That's what they do.
It's really nice. Really, really nice.
Yeah. But no, World Trade was a whole other thing. And there were a lot of people that were having nervous breakdowns over this. And they didn't even have family in World Trade. And they're having a nervous,
But they could feel.
they could feel.
In my book, I'm not changing the
No,
subject.
go ahead.
No, I'm not changing the subject, but excuse me, in my book, one of the things that I started doing was I was picking up on messages from some of the people that crossed. And I thought, so I compiled them and I was just thinking about, wow, this would probably be good in the book, just have this little separate section that, it's like some of the people that crossed were wanting to pass on messages to their parents. And I gave a description and things like that, and I sent it to a publisher, and she really wanted to do it, but the other publishers did not want to do it because they said there'd be so many books like that coming out by people that were famous. Well, the reality was there wasn't. There was no one that came through with messages from the other side, from people that crossed it. And I mean, that was a long time ago. It was almost 17 years ago.
Yeah.
It's 17, right?
Wow, yeah.
And
At least.
I wish I had pursued it because some of the messages in there were timely.
Yeah.
It needed to be out, but I think I'll still put them in the
I would
book.
still put them in, you know, I definitely would.
You never know. You know, maybe the
don't.
people that were supposed to have received it have already crossed or whatever, but you never know for the person that is looking for a sign or whatever.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, I would put it in.
Yeah.
I mean, just walking around there now, I mean, I remember when I would look down my street, Houston Street, looking down there, and you see a pile of brick,
Wow.
you know, and you would stand there and you would look down the street and you think, well, that was World Trade, and it's down here now. I mean, it was very surreal. Everything was,
Wow.
you know, and there was a point where I just got sick and tired of it. I'm living in the middle of it. It's all over on the news. People are glued to it, and I was too for the first week. But then it was like there was no way out.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
know. Frankly, after seeing it over 100 times, I got so, I don't know if tired is the word of seeing it. I got saturated. It was
saturated. It's a good word.
oversaturated.
It's a good word because you are oversaturated. The media, you know, yes, it was a horrible thing. Absolutely horrible, devastating, but it happened.
And you know, the thing is, what people don't really understand, that's also part in my book, it's about how when huge trauma occurs in a spot, the energy of their fear is right there in that spot.
Oh, yeah.
It's right there. Just like I really believe one of the reasons why France has been so hit by ISIS people is that the energy of all those people that died during the French Revolution, innocence. The only reason why they were killed was because they were working for the aristocracy. And I mean, they were killing servants.
Yeah.
Because they were working with the aristocracy. And then they started killing the people or beheading the people that were the first group that was beheading people. How crazy is that? That energy of that, the blood and all that sort of stuff, is right there in the very earth itself.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that's why it's like, don't you notice that there are pockets of places around the earth that are going through major, huge, like tsunamis, volcanoes erupting, earthquakes, things like what happened there? Because that is the earth cleaning itself of trauma.
It's a hell of a way to go.
Hell of a way to go, but the souls that cross that way have asked to be part of this huge, major shifting. And when I was writing down, taking down things, my group told me that everyone that died during 9/11 had all asked to undergo, even the terrorists asked to be the channels so that it would have such an effect worldwide that people would want to start changing. They would want to raise their energy, and I really think that happened.
Well, with a catastrophe like that, it did do a shift. I mean, I saw, because I lived in Manhattan, I saw the shift happening. I saw some people who carried on for months and months, and they had nobody there, like I said before. Everybody tried to help. It made people think. And doctors, emergency rooms, everything. I mean, we saw things that you never thought you would see in your lifetime. A body bag being carried down the street in the West Village, one after another, putting the bodies somewhere. I mean, that was enough to see right there. Just imagine in Afghanistan or anybody who's been overseas, they see 1,000 times worse than that. And it stays with them. This, locally, watching, and of course they had it on the news, you know, it's something that you can't erase from your mind.
And, you know, I'm glad that you mentioned that about the Afghanistan and things. Having been in the military myself, and as a minister and a medium work and spirit releasement practitioner, I've worked with soldiers coming back with PTSD, and what's happened with them is a travesty. What the government has done to our veterans, not helping them, not helping the family, ostracizing them in a lot of cases.
Yeah. But I will say here in Maine, I just had a woman on my show, Boots to Roots.
Boots, I met her.
met Jen.
Yes, after the
Maine
show.
is really, really jumping in to help the veterans. They really are.
Oh, I know as a veteran, I get really, really good care from Togus and now, well, in Saco.
Yeah,
Okay, I get really, really good care as a woman.
yeah.
I'm wondering if I haven't had a chance to really talk with a lot of men veterans about the care that they're getting, or you know, is it so easy for them to get medical care and
I
stuff?
think they're trying, individual cities and towns are trying to help. And when I had her on my show, I know she does reach out to other cities to help whoever is coming home.
I loved when I was talking with her that when she talks about veterans, she doesn't separate men and women. They're veterans.
Yeah,
Just like she's not a woman colonel, I think she was a colonel, right? A woman colonel, she says, I am an Air Force colonel.
yeah,
And I heard that and it was like, that's the way it was always, that's the way when I was in the Navy
yeah,
that I treated the men that I was working with.
yeah,
They were, I mean, we were all buds
yeah,
because we were all fighting the same thing. I wasn't the female sailor. I was, you know, the second-class petty officer that was doing what I was doing.
right. I mean, you were there for a purpose as they were, and you're all together in a team.
Working together as a team.
Yeah. No, all of this with 9/11 and everything combined, you know, it's a movement. It's a change. It's a movement. Now, you mentioned something about weather. What were you going to say about weather?
Whether
Before
or
we
not.
sat down. Before we sat down,
Sunny weather.
Gracie over here said, we're going to talk about the weather. And I don't know what she's going to talk about with the weather. What are you going to talk about with the
I
weather?
kind of skirted around it a little bit and about saying how people were wondering why all of a sudden we get all these like tornadoes, you know, different areas, you know, it's like the earth is cleaning itself. It really is. It feels the energy, just like I was there at Mount St. Helen when it blew. Well, I was in Oregon and I saw Mount St. Helen blow. Now, I think it was May 18th, if I remember right, way, way back. But anyways, the energy of that area totally shifted. It shifted.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when major trauma takes place, flood, especially floods, anything having to do with flood, water, what does water do? Cleans. Okay. Same thing that happened down in New Orleans.
With Katrina?
with Katrina. I have been down there at least, I think maybe 3 or 4 times. Every time that I went down there, I wanted to leave very fast. The energy of that place was so dark, was so, my skin used to crawl because you're picking up. There was a lot of darkness that was being done down there.
Well, but you're very open and sensitive to that. And people who are open and sensitive to that are not a medium, might have the feeling of, I just don't really like it there. Not knowing
Exactly, not knowing what it is
why
about
or
it.
how come.
Oh, yeah.
So you have the people who go, I don't really like it there. Or you and other people like you. Not that there can be anyone like you. I have to clarify that. Who would know that this is the energy, this is the shift.
Oh, yeah. It's like when that water went through and was cleaning out stuff, changed a lot of the energy.
But okay,
But they still had that flooding come back up, and they had the flooding down in Texas.
But okay.
But.
So they had the flooding, it came in, it washed, but then that water remained and became very toxic and made a lot of people very sick.
Well, if you're going to drink water, yeah, but that's a natural part of what took place. I'm talking about they cleaned out the energy.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's like the earth did what it had to do because it became intolerable to the earth.
Yeah.
That energy was so, ugh. And now it's like the last time I was down there, the energy had begun to shift.
But
It was cleaner.
But you can also say the same thing with Haiti.
Exactly.
I mean, Haiti got hit hard.
Well, isn't it Haiti that does the voodoo?
Yes.
Okay, and wasn't it New Orleans that does the voodoo too?
Yes.
You do that voodoo that you do so well. Sorry. I have a funny guy that comes through and
I can
sings
tell.
me. Now I'm hearing Al Jolson. Are you old enough to remember Al Jolson?
No, I just watched reruns.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
No, all these catastrophes, I do agree with you, are cleansing cities.
Cleaning. The earth is cleaning itself. That's what's going on.
Okay, so if
the shift is taking place.
Okay, but if you're saying that now,
Yeah.
what's the thing with global warming? Got you there.
No.
No?
I kind of go along with what President Trump thinks. What if it's all blown up out of proportion? What if global warming has taken place many times in the Earth's history?
True.
Okay, and so what if it really has been blown out of proportion? I agree, there are changes that are taking place.
Yeah.
I also agree that, with the water, the oceans, the warming and stuff like this. But that's a natural part of what has taken place many times
I believe
in the
that.
Earth's history.
Yeah.
And we're not adding to, we're not making it better or, by continuing doing the things that we're doing. For instance, and I love this because Spirit gave this to me, about oil, taking the oil out of the ground. What if the oil is blood? What if is the earth's blood? Okay, and what if the importance of oil in the earth is so that way when the earth begins to expand, right? I got this from Spirit, I'll have you know. Okay, as the earth begins to expand and grow, because if it didn't expand and grow, the earth would start dying out, because if there's no growth, there's death, okay? But anyways, as the earth begins to spread apart and stuff like this, what does the oil do with the landmass as it's beginning to move out? It's now becoming, now that they're depleting that oil, it's now rock on rock.
True.
It's not an easy transition.
True.
Right?
Right.
Okay. Don't you think there's going to be repercussions from that?
I would think so.
Okay, so, and this has only been since what? Our Ford started coming through when, developing the cars, early 1900s.
Okay.
Okay, did we really use that much oil before then?
I wouldn't think so.
Exactly. So within a century and 17 years, we're depleting our oil. We're depleting, it's like we're draining the earth of her lifeblood.
Ooh,
Sounds awful, doesn't
it
it?
sounds awful.
Yeah, but doesn't it make sense?
Well, it does make
so
sense.
So why is it that, well, they are hybrids? Because it's like they answered my own question for me. I said, why doesn't somebody come up with something different or something that, rather than using oil,
That there's something else you can use, like electric.
Electric, yeah, but so they are hybrids. Okay, and don't you find it interesting that oil is found all over in different pockets, all over the earth? Okay,
Yeah.
there's a reason for that. Okay, it's as the land expands, it needs that thickness so that it doesn't go rock on rock and you don't have the major trauma to the cities, to the people, as it is expanding, the earthquakes. Maybe we wouldn't need the earthquakes.
Wow. Okay.
It's like, I'm not just a pretty face.
There's a brain behind that face.
There's a brain behind this face, I'll tell you.
God. No, it all makes sense.
Doesn't it?
It does.
I prefer dollars.
My God. Quick funny story.
Okay. I don't know one, but go ahead.
No, I do know one.
Oh, okay.
When I did a lot of traveling and making appearances and doing stuff like that,
In your Spider-Woman costume?
yeah,
I heard you were pretty hot.
was.
Sorry. She is. She is.
Don't try to backtrack. No, I was in Chicago at the time, and there was a snowstorm, and I had to get to the airport because I had an appearance somewhere. So I shared a limousine with these three men from Wyoming. And they were going to the airport as well. And the one man, what was his name?
George?
No, Mike Silva was his name. Mike Silva. And he was a lawyer to the Indians in Wyoming. Okay.
No way.
So I get in and we're talking. We find out we're the same nationality. He was very much like a Howard Hughes. He was a germophobic and nice guy. Well, once he found out we were the same nationality and everything, he said, I'm going to give you an oil well.
She's going to give you an oil well?
Yeah.
What did you have to do to get
Nothing.
that oil well?
I was the same nationality. He was a nice guy. There are people out there in the world like that. So, but I didn't believe him. I said, okay, fine, give me an oil well. All right. So, about a month went by, and I had given him my address and that, and he sent me all the paperwork for my oil well in my name.
Tell me that you sent the paperwork in.
Well, he already sent it in.
No, I mean after you did the signing and stuff.
Yeah, it all went in.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
Well,
about 8 months after that, he calls me and said, would you like to come see your oil well? I'd never been to Wyoming, you know. I mean, I'm not an outdoor girl. I'm not with John Wayne and all that.
the story's getting real interesting.
So anyway, I said, sure, why not? So I fly to Wyoming. I get to Wyoming, get off a commercial plane, and there's a man with a sign
Said, hi, Tony.
that has my name on there. So I go to this man, he takes my luggage, he says, we're going to go to Mike's private plane. So we did.
Wow.
I have pictures of this.
Oh, I
I
believe
have
me.
pictures of everything I talk about.
believe it.
Because I even knew then no one would believe me now. I
I
recorded.
would. I would.
Yeah, well, I know. Anyway, so, I get on this private plane where he's sitting there with a mask on and Kleenex is all over. And, we laughed, we talked and we went to his ranch. So the next day, he had horses, we got on horses, and we rode out to my oil well. Now, I really did not know very much about oil, but all I saw was a donkey and an oil well. You know how those things are like that? They're in the air, and then my donkey was over there. And I said, well, is it doing anything? Well, no, not yet. But that's your oil well, Tony. Okay, so I took a picture of it.
So do you still have this oil well?
No. Over these years,
Did he ask for it back?
no, it just never pumped oil.
What did it pump?
Nothing.
Are you sure?
Uh,
I mean, do you still own this well?
Oh, God, I don't think so. I lost all the paperwork. It was one little, and then he gave me the history of oil while I was there.
Uh-huh.
And we went to the Indian reservations.
Uh-huh.
And he showed me the grave of, what was her name? Sechawa. Who's the Indian?
Saskatchewan?
No, that's the gorilla. No,
No, it
no, the Indian girl that everybody knows. Steve.
Sacagawea. Sacagawea. She was
Not Hiawatha.
Sacagawea.
Okay.
They used to call her Saka for short.
Anyway, he took me to see her grave, which is on an Indian reservation.
Wow, that is really neat. What did it look like? I mean, did they have a monument
Yeah.
and stuff?
Yeah,
What did you feel when you were there?
nothing. I took a picture.
Oh,
I
God.
took a picture. And then we went back to the ranch with other people who owned oil wells. And a lot of those people used to be extras in John Wayne movies.
Now, if they could only talk.
Well, I know. But I have pictures of them too,
You have pictures of them as well? As well?
as well.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah. But that story just came up because you were talking about oil
Wells.
wells.
As well.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of Indians, I went to Custer's Last Stand,
Did you?
and
You're too young for that.
I was there.
Okay.
I was there in a past life. I
Okay.
came through. It's like when I remember being little. When I was little, and I used to see reruns about movies about Custer. There was something about Custer that it used to, my teeth would,
Why?
just something about him. And I just kept getting that, the funny thing about him was I'd always see these pictures with him with his long locks, but it's like when I saw him, his hair was like almost shaved or cut real close, to the head. And I didn't find out till afterwards that his wife was sort of like a medium, psychic type, had a dream that he was in a battle and that the Indians would be looking for him for the golden locks. So she had him cut off his hair so that they wouldn't know that it was him.
Good
I didn't know
idea.
this until afterwards. But, when I had this, but it's interesting because when you go out there, it's eerie.
Okay.
It is really eerie. And they have these little plaques where bodies were found of some of the soldiers and things, and they had their names. Well, one of the people that was there was an ancestor of mine.
Okay.
You know, it's like, whoa. But the other really neat thing about this is that when I had that dream or that vision, I saw very little. All I saw was these cloud dust. You know, it was like a big, huge cloud dust. And I was a Native American, and I was with the large group, and my wife and my children in that lifetime were murdered by the soldiers that thought that was the full encampment, but it wasn't. It was like, you know, people that were late coming to this big, huge.
Yeah.
Okay. And my wife and my children were killed by these soldiers.
All right.
And it was like walking there, it was like I felt myself being, it's almost like a deja vu. It's like you get pulled in, you get pulled out. And
Wow.
you could almost, you could like hear whispers.
Okay.
That's why I was asking, you know, if you felt anything or whatever.
Nope, I didn't.
You know, and all they have to show it over there is, I mean, they've got these little plaques and they've got this monument or whatever. But again, the things that were done to the Native Americans
Yeah.
was a travesty. And why? For this.
Yeah.
It is always about this.
Yeah.
Wars are fought not because the everyday people want to fight. It's the big guys up at the
Of
top
course it is.
that want more, that greed.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like
Well,
I don't even know why I brought that up. But
well,
I guess
apparently
maybe
you had
about the
to.
about the land. About the
Maybe,
land.
you know, somebody out there is a relative, but I need to tell you before we close
Time's up.
today. Well, I don't know. I wasn't watching the clock.
Okay.
I ran into 3 people at the post office.
Did they like it when you did?
Yes, they did. And because I know them, they live where I
They didn't
live.
mind.
No, they didn't mind. And it was a husband and wife and another gentleman. And
Was he single?
I don't know.
I'm looking for you.
Don't look for me.
She's single.
No, don't go
She's
there.
single.
No, don't go there. No, don't go there. Anyway, they watch our show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And the comment about you was, they never know what's going to come out of your mouth. And they get a kick out of that because they don't know what's going to come out of your mouth.
I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth.
And apparently they watch my expression, which I didn't even know I was giving expression. But they get a kick out of it because you just kind of go here and here and here, which I love because it's entertaining to me.
All we need is, you know, the cup and the tea.
Oh, the cup and the tea was.
Well, yeah, it's like when I'm sitting here, I feel like we're company. I mean, not company, you know, it's like you're at my house or I'm at your house and we're just having a cup of coffee and we're just talking about everything
I know.
and anything.
And that's what they said. And they get a kick out of it, makes them laugh.
I get a kick.
There she goes again. You know Gracie.
Oh,
Yes.
it's time.
It's time.
It's time.
So, what are you going to do next, huh?
What am I going to do next? I'm not really sure. Probably say thank you to the audience for sitting with us today. I hope you found today's talk was really interesting. I sure did, because, you know, as long as I've known you, we've never really sat and talked about your experience through 9/11.
Oh, yeah. I kind of Unless somebody says something to me, I really,
Don't talk about it.
no, there's nothing to talk about.
Oh, I don't know. Finding fingers is pretty interesting.
Well, not a lot of people can handle that. They don't want to hear it.
Wow.
Is there anything else you're going to say?
Happy birthday?
No,
that's
it's nobody's
August.
birthday. Is there anything else?
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh my God.
Hi, Rosemary. It's not that I forgot you. It's just that your daughter was monopolizing the conversation. But I love you, Rosemary, and I hope you're enjoying the show. And she's going to hit me.
I
I love you, Mom. Love your daughter, Toni.
Because all I hear about is grief on I don't say anything.
Well, you still have it.
Hold it up again? Okay.
Here, wait a minute. I want to show.
Oh, you want to be.
I want to show the audience as well, too. See, Rosemary? She had this printed up, especially for you. I love you, Rosemary. I love you more.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Till we meet again. Namaste.